Today we are making authentic Italian tomato sauce. This sauce is so good. Tomato sauce is the foundation for so many delicious Italian recipes. Keep watching and I'll show you how it's done. Here is another winner recipe. This recipe is adapted from my mom's tomato sauce recipe. It is a Southern Italian recipe, and she called it sauce for all macaronis. Now, if you're new to Italian cooking, you're probably wondering, well, why did she write this sauce is good for all macaronis and not for all pasta? Well, macaroni is like a pasta. It's a kind of a pasta, and usually they're short, curved like an elbow, or cylinder. They're hollow inside, like a ziti, a penne, a rigatoni. And the marinara sauce is thick, where this tomato sauce is a little bit more water-based. So it's able to, cook and get into the center of those tubular pastas. Like my mom's marinara sauce, this sauce, it comes together so quickly. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen the marinara sauce video, you need to check it out. I provided a link below. It's a great video, but it's even better sauce. I know I've already started. I peeled the onion, but first things first. Okay, wear an apron when making this sauce because tomato explosions, they're real. They can happen, so be prepared. And secondly, my mom always said use a wooden spoon when you're making tomato sauce or marinara sauce, any kind of red sauce. And you know what? They say that if you consistently use the same spoon, that all the ingredients and the flavors actually soak up into the wood. So who knows, before you know it, you might have yourself a magic spoon. So let's get started. We need an onion, about a medium-sized onion. So I wasn't paying attention earlier when I was chit-chatting, but I accidentally cut the root off. It would have been nice to have kept it, but it's okay. Anyway, so just keep cutting this into these small little slices. And then you can just turn your onion and slice this way. And you've already got a chopped onion. Very quick and easy. Next we need about 3 garlics. And I love this little silicone, garlic skin remover thing. You just put it in there and the garlic, pretty much with all the paper, comes right off. There it goes, look at that. Now you want to make it easier on yourself when chopping up the garlic because a smushy garlic is much easier to cut than a hard garlic. So the best thing is just to take the side of your knife and whack them and get them nice and smushy. And you can just chop. Now it's super important that you do not use garlic from like a paste or a jar or something. No, you got to use the real thing if you want really delicious tomato sauce. Next ingredient you need is basil. If you have it from the garden, all the better. The more fresh, the better. Don't use it dry. So if you don't have it in your garden, get it from the grocery store or whatever. And you know what? If your pieces are little, you can just rip them and like this and just put them into the sauce when it's ready. Or if your leaves are really big, you can slice them or chop them up, whatever you prefer. Next up is Parmesan cheese, just the rind. I'm telling you, all you want to do is take off that rind like this. We're going to put this in the tomato sauce. This right here, this is like a magic ingredient. It is going to make your tomato sauce like go over the top, delicious. And then the rest of your Parmesan cheese, just wrap it back up because whatever delicious macaroni dish you're making, you want to grate this and garnish it on top when you're ready to eat it. One more ingredient, a carrot. Now this is not mandatory, but if you're worried about your tomatoes being too acidic, carrots really do the trick. Don't add sugar. Just a little bit of carrot. You can take it out then after you finish your tomato sauce by, this will just kind of like add a little sweetness and like I say, fight off the acidity in the tomatoes if necessary. Oh, and whatever you do, don't use the little bitty snap carrots. There's way too much moisture in there. And now for the tomatoes. Now if I lived in Italy, I could pluck them right out of my garden, but I don't. So, cento, Peeled and skinned tomatoes is the best deal that we can get right here in the grocery stores. We'll need 2 cans. I'm gonna put these in a blender and we're gonna blend them up. And next up are 2 6-ounce cans. Again, I'm using Cento tomato paste. This makes my mom's recipe like so unique. And then we're going to add 1 can of water. I'll show you. So I've got the 2 cans of tomato paste here, and I fill this one up with water. Pour this in here, and now just kind of stir this up. It'll start to get a little thicker. You'll see. I wish Mom was still here to ask her the theory behind this. I think it's because like a can of tomatoes is 70% of water, and we need to thicken that up. And tomato paste would be just too thick. Tomato puree might not be thick enough. This is like the perfect consistency of what needs to be added to those whole tomatoes. Is that not like beautiful? My mom knows what she's talking about. So we're at the stovetop. We're ready to roll here. All of our ingredients are ready. Like I say, this goes really quick. I've got a big pot, big enough to hold all these tomatoes, and I've got it hot. Now you want good extra virgin olive oil. And go ahead and put some at the bottom of the pan. Now we'll add in our onions. And now we're gonna let this simmer in here for just a little bit, probably like 10 minutes. We wanna do it slow. And at this point though, I always like to add my pepper because it's important for the pepper to infuse in with the onions. So we got the pepper going. Actually, I'm gonna put some fresh grated pepper in there too. Oh, about a teaspoon altogether. And like I say, we're gonna let this just get translucent, the onions, let them relax. I love the way the onions look. Now it's time to add the garlic. Okay, so now we just want to stir this in with the onions for just like 1 to 2 minutes. Now my rule is that when you start to smell the garlic, that means it's time to add the tomatoes. Now it's time for the tomatoes. This house smells fabulous. Okay, so be careful when you add your tomatoes because we've got a little heat going on in here. Here we go. And now our tomato paste mixture. Okay, so we have all the tomatoes in. And, okay, I'm gonna just try to stir this up a little bit, and this is when we're gonna add everything else. We're gonna add, before we do that, every time I add the tomatoes, it's like in goes the salt. So I would say two nice teaspoons of salt for sure. Add your 2 carrots, we're gonna take those out later. And the Parmesan rind, again, this goes out later too. Now we're gonna add our basil. And now we're gonna stir this. So now we want this to get to like a bubble. And remember, this could be where the tomato explosion step happens, but it's okay. Now, the trick with this is that we're not going to completely cover the pan. We want some air to be able to escape. So we don't want to cover it completely because the air escaping some of the acidity from the tomatoes, they're just going to fly away. And this is the sauce that you want to simmer for like about an hour, hour and a half. Whereas that marinara sauce is done like in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's the thicker sauce. This is more water-based. You want that flavor. You want it to get a little bit more deep. I think it's popping. Yeah, here we go. Whoop, whoop, see? Okay, so it's getting to a bubble. That's more popping. I wanted to get a little bit more steady boil. Once this gets to a bubble, you're gonna lower it all the way down on low. And you want it to like, keep a little happy dance in there, just a nice soft little simmer. And you want to take your spoon then and come around. Woo! I don't know if you saw that, but we got bubbles, we got popping. You want to go ahead and stir your sauce every now and then because you don't want the sauce to stick to the bottom of the pan. And because then, you know, the kind of like, it changes the flavor a little bit. I mean, like, it happens. Don't start all over again. If it sticks, it's okay. But anyway, there we have it. We have it. This is the tomato sauce that's to die for. It's delicious. Happy eating, y'all. And enjoy this tomato sauce with whatever macaroni dish that you're going to be making later. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Ring the bell to notify so you get notified when my next video is. And until next week, have a great one. Thanks, everyone.